The humid air of West Philadelphia in the early 2010s hung heavy with the scent of summer and youthful rebellion. In the heart of the bottom, a group of boys, bound by shared streets and a fierce loyalty, spent their days in a blur of motion. Bikes whizzed down cracked sidewalks, basketballs echoed against concrete courts, and playground scuffles, though frequent, always ended with a handshake and a laugh. They were more than friends. They were brothers, a tight-knit crew who christened themselves the Get Chicken Gang, or GCG, a name that soon emblazoned their social media profiles, a badge of their unbreakable bond. Among them was Walter Kegler, a chubby 10-year-old then, his Timberland scrawled with fat tone, a nickname that hinted at a softer, more innocent time. Lieutenant Edwin Perez, a patrol officer who knew these streets like the back of his hand, remembered Walter from those days. He'd seen countless kids like him, full of potential, teetering on the edge of a world that could swallow them whole. Perez had a strange, almost paternal relationship with them, a constant dance of cat and mouse. He'd talk to them on corners, urging them to stay out of trouble, then chase them down when they inevitably stumbled. They, in turn, mocked him on fake Instagrams, shouting him out on their live streams, a twisted game of respect and defiance. But the innocent days of GCG were fleeting. Immature disagreements, whispers of betrayal, and the insidious creep of street politics began to fray the edges of their brotherhood. The GCG splintered, giving rise to new factions, new names, and, most tragically, new enemies. The streets of the bottom, once a playground, became a battleground. A years-long bloody gang feud erupted, blanketing the area in a hail of gunfire, especially during the suffocating grip of the pandemic. At the heart of this escalating violence often was the Young Bag Chasers, or YBC, and it was a trial. Years later, for the 2021 murder of 22-year-old Joseph Johnson, a YBC affiliate that offered a chilling glimpse into how one of these lesser-known feuds between YBC and the young men from 38th and Wallace Streets spiraled into tragedy. Walter Kegler, now known as SB or Silverback, stood accused of Johnson's murder, a killing born from a perceived slight, a festering wound in a neighborhood already bleeding. The assistant district attorney, Jeff Hanofsky, laid out the grim timeline. The feud between YBC and 38th Street, he explained, had ignited in early 2021. A YBC member, in a moment of reckless disrespect, had spit on the sister of someone from 38th Street. The retaliation was swift and brutal. The 38th Street guys jumped the YBC kid, and that same day, bullets tore through the air down 38th and Wallace. No one was hit, no arrests were made, but the message was clear. YBC was suspected of firing those shots. From there it began. Lieutenant Perez, his voice heavy with the weight of years spent witnessing this cycle, told the jury, back and forth. Joseph Johnson, nicknamed Gorilla Joe, had a past as tangled as the streets he walked. A loving son and funny brother, his mother would later testify, but he was also caught in the undertow of his environment. In 2016, at just 17, he and a friend were arrested for a gunpoint carjacking. Johnson, charged as an adult, received a 2 to 7-year sentence. His younger friend, from 38th and Wallace, was charged as a juvenile and got a lighter sentence. A seed of suspicion, a poisonous doubt, began to grow in Johnson's mind. He believed his friend had given information to the police. Hanofsky insisted it wasn't true, but the damage was done. When Johnson was released in 2021, the belief festered. He branded his former friend a rat, and the word spread like wildfire. 38th and Wallace couldn't be trusted. From that moment, Hanofsky declared, Johnson had a target on his back. The morning of September 22, 2021, was like any other. Joseph Johnson sat on the steps of his row house on Brandywine Street, engrossed in his phone, the mundane rhythm of life playing out around him. Then a white car screeched to a halt. 2 gunmen emerged, shadows against the morning light. 9 shots ripped through the air before Johnson could even register the danger, before he could scramble to safety inside. He fell, his life bleeding out onto the concrete. The block went silent. Residents claimed to have seen nothing. No other surveillance cameras offered a clearer picture. Only a blurry ring video from Johnson's own home remained. a silent, grainy witness. But to the officers who knew Walter Kegler, it was enough. Detective Ryan Moore recounted in court how the footage showed Kegler wearing the same black Armani exchange pants and Yeezy shoes he'd worn a month prior when he'd shot a 20-year-old in the leg at 40th and Chestnut Streets. Moore knew because Kegler had dropped his phone as he fled that earlier scene. Then, weeks after Johnson's murder, a chilling Instagram live broadcast confirmed their suspicions. Kegler and another 38th Street member, their faces alight with a cruel mockery, taunted YBC. They used Johnson's nickname, Gorilla Joe, and sneered he should have ducked. They questioned how he could have been sitting outside on his phone in the middle of a war. And then, with a chilling promise, declared they were coming for one of the YBC members' mothers next. Kegler stood, moving his body as if he was being shot. Then, with a chilling finality, said, "He looked me dead in my eyes." That was a confession Hinofsky told the jury, the words hanging heavy in the courtroom air. Kegler was arrested, still wearing the distinct track pants and shoes, but throughout the trial he denied everything. He even took the stand, his voice unwavering, to plead his innocence. "There's a million people in Philly who wear those clothes." He insisted it wasn't him. He repeated, "I never committed no murder. I never shot anyone." He even claimed Johnson was like my big brother, and 38th and Wallace. "Just 'cause you're from somewhere and have friends doesn't mean you're a gang," he argued. When Hinofsky pressed him about who he was talking about on the Instagram Live, Kegler just shook his head, refusing to answer. Kegler's attorney, Gary Server, argued that the case was built on police intelligence alone, a high risk of inaccuracy. He warned the jury. As for the Instagram video, he conceded, "We should be morally outraged when we hear people laughing about someone's death, but that doesn't mean they're responsible for it." But after 5 hours of agonizing deliberation, the jury returned. They found Walter Kegler guilty on all counts: first-degree murder, conspiracy, attempted murder, and related crimes. His grandfather, in a voice thick with sorrow, told him he loved him. Kegler, in his final words to the court, expressed sorrow for Johnson's family, but still maintained his innocence, claiming Johnson was a friend. His fate, however, was sealed. Common Pleas Court Judge Roxanne Covington sentenced Walter Kegler, now 22, to a mandatory life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 20 to 40 years for the non-fatal shooting in University City. As the sentence was read, Kegler remained stoic, his face a mask of calm. But as the sheriffs led him from the courtroom out of public view, the mask shattered. A wail, raw and guttural, echoed from the holding cell, a sound that spoke of a life irrevocably lost, a brotherhood shattered, and the devastating, lingering impact of a war fought on the streets of West Philadelphia.